Winter is coming, and the struggle for the Iron Throne is not over yet. Breaker of Chains. Let's start right off at King's Landing. Things have been completely reconfigured in the wake of what happened at the end of the last episode, which I still can't talk about because I'm keeping things spoiler free. Tyrion's now in jail, which I don't consider to be a spoiler because the previews for the season showed that he was in jail. I figure that's fair game. And I like seeing him in jail. I don't mean that in a way like I wanted to see him arrested, beaten down further, or anything like that. I just mean like back him into a corner and he's more interesting. Tyrion is at his best when he has something that he can confront head on. Obviously not physically, he's not a fighter, but that he can get at with his wit and his words and his just find a way to work his way around, and a trial definitely seems like something that'll go that way. Tywin, master manipulator that he is, has a really interesting scene with Oberyn. To see the two of them start to do the little kind of dance around each other, you know, trying to figure out what they can get from the other one and still get what they want. It's really interesting. It's always interesting no matter how many times I see it. Sansa, I'm still hesitant to say that she herself has become interesting, but the character is being put in increasingly interesting situations, so there's still potential that I may eventually even like her. Peter Baelish has come back, and the minute I saw him show up, I just thought, oh shit. His monologue that he had in the last episode he appeared in last season just really let everybody know this guy is out for himself way worse than you ever thought. And he does not care who goes down. So him coming back, honestly, kind of scary a little bit. There's a scene between Jaime and Cersei that I'm not sure how I feel about. It's a very sexually charged scene, which is fitting for them. They've got that history and all of that. But just the way it plays out, I'm not sure how I feel about it. And it actually leads me to another sort of talking point I want to bring up. I hesitate to call this show misogynistic, but it's a hard label to avoid when the society that it's showing is inherently misogynistic. But I just feel like we're kind of getting beaten over the head with this, and it just seems like every single female character in this show has either endured or been threatened with sexual violence, and it's really starting to make me uncomfortable as a viewer. I mean, I understand that's the world that they live in, but I think we're beyond just making the point right now. Between what goes on with Cersei and Jaime, and then Samuel has Gilly leave Castle Black because he's afraid of what the members of the Night Watch will do to her, and like that sort of thing just permeates the whole show. And I don't know if it's always been there and I'm just sort of starting to take issue with it more, or if it's actually gotten worse. I feel like it's gotten worse. Maybe it's just that I've been watching it so long that it's just starting to wear on me, and I'm going, yeah, that's kind of enough. Since I brought up Samuel and Gilly, let's take a look at what's going on north of the Wall. We get a really important bit of insight into the wildlings. And I don't mean in terms of some great depth to me. I mean we see firmly, viscerally, why these guys are a problem. Because we've seen the wildlings gathering and we've been told, oh, they're gonna march on the wall and take everybody out. We've been told that, but it's all been fairly abstract. And more to the point, there was always something in the back of my head that went, well, they don't like the White Walkers. Nobody likes the White Walkers. Aren't they just ultimately all going to join up and fight the White Walkers? Well, it becomes fairly clear now why that's never going to work. We get a little more time with Arya and the Hound, and it's interesting just watching Arya develop. Obviously, she's been dealing with death quite a bit, and even in some cases, death at her own hands. But she's still, I don't want to say naive, she's still got a certain sense of nobility, a certain code of ethics and honor going to her, more so than the Hound. So for her to see this knight who is able to justify doing much worse things than she is willing to do, it's interesting, and I'm going to be interested to see how that impacts her development overall. But the title of the episode deals, of course, with Daenerys Targaryen, who continues to sweep her way across Slaver's Bay, taking out every single slave city she comes across, freeing all the slaves, and just amassing her forces. As much as she's got a fairly impressive army at her command at this point, her real strength really seems to be in what she is able to inspire in others and get them to rally to her. She is the character that I was waiting to get to see when I first became clear where her direction was way back in season 1. Now this is it. This is her. Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons. Yeah! This season as a whole is just really strong right out the gate, and it's maintaining its momentum very well. I mean, I've got the thing with the sexual violence, which I'm a little bit bugged by at this point, but just this whole show and story and characters, I'm wrapped up in it, and not too many of my issues from the last season are lingering, or at least if they're popping up briefly and they're going away again. So I'm really excited for the next episode. Let me ask you this, because opinions seem to vary. Do you still dig the nudity and the sexual aspects of the show, or do you feel like it's gimmicky at this point? Whatever you think, leave something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. And until next time, this council is adjourned.